In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about the one type of light that's still missing from my kit. So let's go. Okay, everybody, here we are coming towards the end of the week. Just finished up the weekly live stream. And while last week I talked a little bit about my thought process in and around new cameras that I'd like to get for the type of work that I do, today I want to talk about the type of light that I think is missing from my kit and is something that I'm eyeing in the future as something that I think will make its way into what I'm using for a lot of the types of productions that I do. Now, I'm very fortunate. I'm surrounded by a lot of equipment, lighting, cameras, camera support, audio gear, and because of what I do for a living, but also educationally and my relationship with a lot of manufacturers, I am lucky. I get to use most of the stuff, at least temporarily, that's out there, which helps me talk to you about it, give you my thoughts, and I have real world experience, hands-on experience with it. But there is one type of light, or at least one category of light, that I don't have in my kit, which I would love to have. And while I have some relatively good output COB or chip on board lights, and usually if I have the choice, I'm going to buy a hard light that I can make a soft light as opposed to start with a soft light, with exceptions, tube lights sometimes. Some of the other form factors of lights are naturally soft, but usually if I'm talking about the big guns or even the little ones for putting light in very special places, hence the term a special, I'm going to go with hard light. So what is it that I'm missing? Well, here in the US, we generally have 15 and 20 amp circuits, which means that we have to consider what the power draw is and the amperage of that particular fixture in order to be able to use it in our production. So when we're looking at amperage and wattage, it's not a one-to-one, but we can sort of get a sense of where we need to be with that. And the one thing I don't have in my kit is about a 1200, 1000 plus, we'll say, watt fixture that I can use as a key. And more than once in the last few years, I have found with LED fixtures that I've needed more than that 600, 720 watt output of a light. A lot of that has to do with the way you light, because of course, if you take a 600 or 720 watt light and you're using it directly with not a lot of diffusion in front of it, you will get a lot of exposure. Combined with high ISO or ISO with a lot of the cameras that we have, there's so much that you can do. But where does it become a problem? Well, it becomes a problem when you have lots and lots of ambient light. And when you want to light in certain ways, on top of that, you want to bounce the light, you want to bounce and diffuse like a book light, then you start to lose a lot of that output from the light when you are modifying it. So in those cases, that's where you find, let's say, these are windows behind me. I want to use a book light. You will find in a lot of situations that a 600, 750 watt, 720 watt chip on board light just isn't going to cut it. So you wind up doubling up. You try to get a second one of those. Now you've got a second ballast, you've got a second fan. All of those things come into play. So for me personally, the one type of light that I'd really like to have in my kit is about a 1200 watt COB light as sort of the core key light for what I'm doing. For almost any situation, not any, but almost any situation, a 1200 watt LED chip on board light, especially lights like the new 1200X from Aputure, is going to do the job. It's going to get you to the finish line almost every single time. That doesn't mean you won't need other lights in your kit, but if you had, or if I had a 1200 watt LED chip on board light, I could do a lot of damage. So that's the one light inside of my kit that I wish I had. I'm not really wanting for much, but I got my eye on that 1200X or something equivalent to that. Don't forget to, and I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.